Let me start with this. Very few books have gotten under my skin the way that Pet Semetary did. Stephen King himself once said that Pet Semetary was the only book that he wrote that truly scared him and where he felt that he had gone too far in his horror. And for years, this book was sitting in a drawer before publishing it because it hit too close to home. And the inspiration behind this book for King came after his own young son nearly ran into the road near their house in Maine, right in front of a speeding truck. And that brush with tragedy became the emotional core of this book. And guys, you feel the weight of that on every single page in Pet Semetary. And so that's why I'm going to give it a solid 9 out of 10. So the story primarily centers on Lois Creed. Lois is a doctor who moves his family to a quiet town in, you guessed it, Maine. And their new home backs up to a strange patch of woods, and just beyond it lies what's known as the Pet Semetary. It's just a place where children have buried their pets for generations. But soon, Lois discovers that there's something deeper in the forest, something far more ancient, and something far more dangerous. And when tragedy strikes their family, Lois is faced with an impossible choice. And what follows isn't just a descent into horror, but it's really about the unraveling of a man trying to defy death itself. Now, reading this book as a dad, guys, this book was brutal in the best way, because the grief and fear and desperation that Lois feels, it was just too real. It's not about jump scares, but what Pet Semetary is really about is what grief does to us and how it can tempt us and isolate us and push us to do the unthinkable. And as a pastor, I couldn't help but reflect on the way that Lois tries to play God, right? The results of his decisions are just catastrophic, and it's a reminder that there are some boundaries that just aren't meant to be crossed. Some boundaries exist for a reason, and crossing them, even if we think we're doing it out of love, crossing boundaries can lead to devastating consequences. And the dread that exists within this book, guys, it's just masterful. You can see what's coming from a mile away, and that inevitability only makes the dread worse, because again, this isn't about jump scares, but it's about watching a man lose everything he could protect. And I have never felt or experienced dread until I read this book. So again, I'm going to give Pet Semetary a resounding 9 out of 10. It's terrifying, yes, but not in the way I expected. It's the kind of story that will linger in your mind, especially if you're a parent. And with every turn of the page, again, I felt dread on just a deeply emotional level. And so if you have only seen the movie, whether it be the old one from I think the 80s or the recent remake, do yourself a favor, read this book, and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. See you next time.